Like many of you, our family has been watching and carrying the weight of what's been unfolding in the world. Some days it feels like we've been carrying it for lifetimes. There are big, urgent questions about borders, policies, and power that deserve our energy, especially when we act together. Here, I want to stay close to something smaller and more immediate, the everyday things that usually feel stable but suddenly do not. I've been thinking about how conflict, near or far, can ripple into the most basic elements of family health. Access to affordable food, clean water, a sense of safety, sleep that actually restores. Those aren't separate from health, they are health. And when they are disrupted, everything else shifts too. Part of caring for a family is knowing both what we can influence and what we cannot change alone, so we do not carry all the blame for what is structural. Let's start with what's on our plates. Global conflicts can slash agricultural trade in key staples and drive steep jumps in wheat and other food prices, with UN agencies warning that current shocks could push tens of millions more people into acute hunger. For families who are not yet at that edge, a spike on a global commodities chart might look like we cannot afford the usual yogurt, or we are stretching one chicken over 3 days. Early coping strategies that, if the shock continues, could deepen into real deprivation. Research supports this. Violent conflict is consistently linked to high local food prices. One analysis at the subnational level found that with the doubling of conflict events in an area of Africa, staple food prices were expected to rise by about 1.6%. Some studies show that conflicts like the Russia-Ukraine war disproportionately affected lower and middle-income countries for key commodities like wheat, barley, and oats, as trade networks became fragmented, creating isolated clusters that threatened access to food. For families in active conflict zones, this impact on health outcomes may be significant and sometimes life-threatening. A recent review across conflict-affected African countries found that around 1 in 5 children is wasted, 1 in 3 is stunted, and about 1 in 4 is underweight, levels that signal a serious nutrition crisis in these settings. For families further away, it might more often show up as a higher grocery bill or the weight of deciding what to stretch. Here's what the research also shows. Households that experience food insufficiency have substantially higher risks of anxiety and depression. One recent analysis found that not having enough to eat increased the probability of anxiety and depression by well over 20 percentage points, an effect larger than income loss alone. The body keeps a record. When food becomes unpredictable, even for reasons far beyond our control, children do not just eat a bit less. Over time, even intermittent food insecurity may be linked to poorer growth and challenges linked to early child development, weaker school performance, lower self-regulation, and more mental issues like anxiety. If it's helpful to have a few small ideas to hold on to, here are some, just possibilities, not prescriptions. Some days when there is a little more space, you might find that batch cooking, when ingredients are available and reasonably priced, gives you a small buffer for later, without needing to buy more than you will actually use. Keeping meal timing and shared rituals consistent, even if ingredients simplify, may help signal safety. Other days, when energy is lower, the tending looks different, and it still counts. Naming one thing you did do today. We all ate something. We all drank enough water. We sat together for 5 minutes. Some families might find that naming the reason simply, prices went up, we didn't fail, helps children not carry it as shame. It's a sentence parents may need to hear themselves too. For some families, is the water drinkable is a daily life or death question. In conflict settings, disruption of water and sanitation is one of the most direct routes to diarrheal disease and child death. Contaminated water drives diarrheal illness and undermines nutrients a child manages to eat. For others further away, the tap still runs, but air quality worsens, sirens increase, or local parks feel less safe. The result is a similar direction of travel. Children move less, breathe less cleanly, and may carry more tension in small bodies. Again, just possibilities. Take what fits, leave what doesn't. On days when you have a bit more space, creating predictable indoor movement windows, hallway obstacle courses, music and dancing, stretching before bed can help regulate the nervous system. Keeping hydration visible and simple, filled jugs, child-accessible cups, signals that this need at least is cared for. On days when things feel stretched, even 5 minutes of stretching together on a floor mat can shift something. If water reliably is uncertain, keeping 1 or 2 extra bottles filled can offer a small sense of preparedness without catastrophizing in front of children. Our nervous systems were not built for a 24-hour stream of sirens, smoke, and breaking news beamed directly into our bedrooms. Studies link heavier social media exposure to lighter, more fragmented sleep. Environmental stressors, high nighttime temperatures, air pollution also measurably reduce sleep duration and quality. And when sleep frays, everything else does. Mood, blood sugar, attention, patience, the ability to be present with the very children we are trying to protect. Small things that can help. If you have the space, creating one protected, news-free window each day, such as an hour before children's bedtime, works well, framed as family time. Anchoring sleep with simple, predictable cues. The same phrase, the same song, the same lamp, even if bedtime shifts. If the margin is thin, choosing a latest news check cutoff time, even if it's just 30 minutes before sleep. Replacing even one scrolling session with a low arousal activity, reading 1 page, gentle stretching, sitting in silence for 2 minutes. Here is something research is increasingly clear on. Social support can buffer the mental health impacts of food insecurity and other severe stresses, including those linked to conflict. Leaning on others is not a failure, it's a health protective behavior. Sometimes the most protective thing we can do is to let someone else help carry the load. Sharing a meal, watching each other's kids, even just listening without fixing. Admitting this is hard to someone who nods back. If it feels possible, thinking of one person you could reach out to this week, even by text. If receiving help feels uncomfortable, practicing thank you instead of I'm sorry. The small shift can soften things. If there is capacity, offering something small to another family, it builds connection when isolation is its own kind of wound. And if hearing any of this felt like a lot, that's okay too. Sometimes one caring thing we can do is close the screen and make a cup of tea. That counts too. I share this knowing full well that our experience here is not the same as many families in active war zones. Families who may not have the privilege of choosing whether to stay or flee. I do not want to equate our discomfort with their suffering. But I also know that uncertainty touches many of us in different ways. And caring for what's in front of us, wherever we are, might be one small thing we could all hold on to. When we protect one shared meal, one safe corner to play, one stretch of real sleep, we're not just keeping routines. We are in some way interrupting a biological cascade that runs from global conflict to a child's growing brain and the parent's beating heart. That doesn't fix the world, but it matters, measurably, physiologically, in the bodies we've been entrusted with. I do not know what peace looks like on a global scale right now, but I know what it looked like the other week, on a mountain, in the small hands that reached for mine. It reminds me what we are caring for in all of this, and maybe that's something worth holding on to. If you could bottle one small moment from this week to save for later, what would it be?